Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we're going to be watching a couple videos revolving around Clavicular and Peter Thiel. Whether Clavicular is a sugar baby of Peter Thiel, the worldwide influential billionaire, possibly the Antichrist, as he likes to go around the world giving lectures on the coming of the Antichrist and what the Antichrist could be. He seems to know a lot about it, doing various, lectures and talks, giving an insight into his view of what the Antichrist is. It is very strange. He himself has been described as the possible Antichrist with the company that he keeps, with the influence that he is trying to get, with the amount of no money and resources that he has to gain influence, to infiltrate political parties. He himself has placed JD Vance into JD Vance is somebody that he paid his education for. JD Vance owes him a lot of favors, and possibly that is why Peter Thiel is able to exert influence over the White House, over central intelligence agencies, such as the FBI, such as the US military, such as the CIA. Okay, his company Palantir is a data mining company. He is involved in AI companies trying to extract more information, trying to create a surveillance state. And he happens to be a gay man. Now, there is nothing wrong with being a gay man, but he tends to go after young guys that look very similar to Peter Thiel, which is what we are deep diving into. Clavicular is a looks maxer. He is somebody who is gaining a massive audience right now. The spotlight is on him because of his weird obsession with looking good, a very feminine trait. He believes that his looks will allow him to ascend. But in essence, all you are doing is sending a signal to wealthy billionaires to become your new sugar daddy. Okay. And that is what he is talking about. That is what he wants his followers to do, such as himself. I mean, he already admitted that he gets various invitations from Peter Thiel to parties, to to his home, I guess. And Peter Thiel is also possibly has been funding Clavicular. Okay, he has a secret um, Patreon, a secret donator of funds called P. Is that Peter himself? We will find out. We are looking into what this guy is doing. Let's jump straight in.
Dude, like that's the accelerationist mentality.
Do you know who Peter Thiel is?
Peter Thiel, yeah. He's a
got-
billionaire that owns Palantir.
I got invited to a Peter Thiel party. You think that's going to be a daddy?
I mean, what has this guy Clavicular got in common with a tech billionaire like Peter Thiel, right? Clavicular is just a looks maxer. He's just somebody who is trying to make himself as pretty as possible. He's just somebody who is trying to gain fame and status through his good looks. What does Peter Thiel find interesting about him? Okay, I mean, Clavicular is already a meth head, a known meth head. Okay, he smokes methamphetamines, he snorts it to make his face more hollow, I guess, to make his cheeks look more hollow, to have less fat accumulating on his face. So that's not the wisest thing to do now, is it? Right? Smoking meth, right? One of the most dangerous drugs in known to man, right? He might as well start smoking crack soon. Okay, if he says, oh yeah, if you smoke crack, it'll make you look really good. Is that the route that he is headed? Is that what he wants to do? Is he a psyop? Okay, is he funded by Peter Thiel in order to influence the next generation, to turn them all into twinks, all into femboys, all into trans maxers, in order to look pretty for a billionaire gay man? Okay, is that the long-term plan? I mean, look, Clavicular doesn't have many intelligent things to say, right? In essence, he is just a far right, possibly racist, possibly just a low IQ individual, who is willing to do whatever it takes to get money, right? Including breaking his own legs in order to get to look taller. Okay, to get height surgery, right? To get leg extensions put in for him to make himself look taller. You know, that is what this guy is about. And, why does a billionaire tech giant like Peter Thiel find that interesting? Okay, what does he want to do with him? We will continue to find out.
Party? Probably.
Whew. Billionaires, they get a little creepy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, a little bit creepy. I mean, his friend just says it straight, okay? Like, especially after all the Jeffrey Epstein shenanigans that we have found out that the American operation is trying to hide, because it compromises US intelligence. What do these private billionaires do on their private islands? Okay. Is it all just a sexual fueled fantasy for these billionaires?
I don't know. That I don't want to get diddy.
You would prefer the
Hey,
human
anybody
race
that's,
to endure, right? You're
Yeah,
hesitating.
well,
Yes?
I don't know.
I mean, they're saying the quiet part out loud. Okay. Do you want the human race to, endure and continue? And he doesn't have an immediate answer, right? I mean, if you're a good person, if you're a normal person, if you're one of the people here at Royal Instinct, the answer would naturally be yes. Okay. We are all for humanity prospering. We want to usher in a new age for humanity. Okay. This is what we are all about here on this channel. We are fighting the system. I'm somebody who was part of the system. I'm somebody who has decided to leave the system. Okay, I'm somebody who realizes that the game is rigged, that all these billionaires find ways to infiltrate, find ways to push their own agenda, and I don't want to be part of their agenda. I don't want to be part of their plans. I want to come up with my own thing. I want to be part of the decision-making system, which is why I have just decided to leave the current system. This is why I am establishing a new system. I'm establishing my own kingdom. I'm somebody who has had enough. Okay. If you also feel the same way, if you want to progress in the world and in reality ascend, as Clavicular puts it, don't focus on looks maxing. Right? Focus on establishing a kingdom. Okay, becoming a subject matter expert. Be somebody who is known. Be somebody who is seen as a point of authority. Okay, and the way we do that here is we become subject matter experts. We find the thing that you are most passionate about, the thing that you find most interesting, and we turn you into a subject matter expert in that field. Okay. And once you are a subject matter expert, it is only natural that you are seen as a point of authority where people defer to you to get information. And once you have that type of power, it is easy for you to crown yourself a king in your subject, in your expertise. And once you are a king, it is only natural that we and you establish kingdoms, okay, which is what we're all about. I am forming the Amicis. I am forming the Royal Alliance of Kings. I'm looking for 100 kings who want to transcend, who want to ascend, and become greater than they ever thought that they were capable of. Okay, we will not be held back. We will fight the system. We will become the new rulers. Okay. The system is designed for us to win, and we will make sure that humanity prospers and all the evil people with the nefarious plans, such as Peter Thiel, will be put in jail.
I would
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit
Should
in
the
this.
human race
I mean, what questions is there? Do you want human life to continue? Do you want people to suffer? Right. And this guy doesn't have an answer for you. Okay. It's because in reality, they want humanity to dwindle. They want the numbers down. They want population to decrease. Okay. They are huge into eugenics. Okay. Into designing, such as Hitler, right? I mean, Hitler was big into, the Aryan race, the Aryan master race. He wanted to, make sure that the master race is the Aryan race, and to, just have blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white people in charge of everything, in charge of the world. And then you have a guy like, Peter Thiel, who possibly believes similar sort of things. Okay. I believe Peter Thiel is actually, he has links to Germany. His great grandfather was German. It's possible. But yeah, that is where they stand. They want most of humanity to dwindle. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Chinese, or whatever race it is. Okay. You have to decide for yourself. Do you want to be a peasant in somebody else's system, or do you want to continue and live a life of prosperity, a life of luxury, and put your marker down, throw the gauntlet down, and decide to crown yourself a king?
survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And
What problems? Oh, there's too many people in the world. Is that the problem he's talking about? You know, me, it'd be really cool if we just get rid of all these people. And in a lot of things, these tech CEOs, that is what their plan is. They want less people. They want AI to come in to, disrupt the labor market, to take away jobs. And they want more robots working. They want more robots, doing the deliveries. They want more robots as housekeepers, okay? Because they don't want to interact with humans. You have to understand that they despise humans. They despise life. They despise people who aren't in their inner circle, okay? So unless you are in the inner circle, you will not prosper. You will not win. This is why I'm creating my own circle, okay? And I don't want to have a circle of just people with no ambition, people with evil ambition, okay? I want 100 kings, 100 people who are ready to become leaders in order to usher in a great age for humanity, right? If you are one of them, if you have that type of ambition, you need to reach out. I help the people who join eliminate any self-doubt, any problems that they have, anything that is holding them back, okay? And we unleash their full charisma, their full personality, and their expertise onto the world in order for them to conquer.
And so, it's always, I don't know, transhumanism is this, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or I don't know, transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross dresses, and a transsexual is someone where you change your, penis into a vagina, and we can then debate how well those surgeries work. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is not that it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And okay, we want more than cross dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole.
I mean, if you get rid of your heart, if you get rid of your mind, are you even the same person at that point, right? He wants to really, gut out humans, okay? He wants to get in under the skin, under the plumbing, and recreate humans in his image, right? He wants them to think a certain ideology. He wants them to believe in the things that he believes. He wants to control all humanity, okay? What I believe is that Peter Thiel is a deeply disturbed human being, okay? He is somebody who is very paranoid. He is power hungry, and he is scared that somebody else who is evil like him, who thinks like him, would get into power and get control over him, right? So this is a power play. This is the way that these people are able to isolate themselves and insulate themselves from all the anxieties that they have, right? This problem of worshipping AI gods, of becoming a transhumanist, it is bedded in a fear of death, okay? He is scared of dying. He is scared of losing control, and he is scared of other people being alive who think similar to him. Because a lot of the people at the top, they get to the top because they are psychopaths. Okay, if they were good people, they wouldn't have the ambition because they will be held back by their own self doubts, right? And that is why I'm here to remove your self-doubt. I'm here to remove the things that are holding you back, because it is time for good people to get into positions of power, to lead humanity into a new age, okay? A prosperous age for good people with good intentions. We should be the rulers. We should be the decision makers because we have good intentions.
Whole body.
Well, I'm personally an accelerationist, so I'd like to see where things are going to go, because I can only assume that the dating market is going to get worse and worse, and that's going to probably cause
How
people
old is Michael Knowles? He's pretending to be 50, right?
And it's going to have a lot of intergender issues. Again, I hope this doesn't happen, but that's just kind of what I speculate will occur.
Well, hold on, because when you say you're an accelerationist, I find that very interesting. Accelerationism meaning, look, we got all these social problems and they're getting even worse, and so you know what? Let's just immanentize the eschaton. Let's bring it up to the end. Let it all fall apart, and then we can finally rebuild something good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they are literally speed running the demise of the Western world, of the whole world, right? They want to create as much chaos and as much, pain for humanity, in order for them to fight with each other, in order for them to eat each other up, in order for a lot of humans to lose their lives. And then they will come in with new solutions, with new technology, and usher in a new age, which they will be the decision makers of, which they will be the rulers of. You have to ask yourself, like, has anybody asked for the current war in Iran? Has anybody asked for the current problems with AI and possibly, you know, taking away a lot of jobs, right? Has anybody asked for this, right? And they tell you it is for your benefit, but in essence, what it is, it's just them speed running the demise of the world so that they can be isolated. And they all these people are bunkers, by the way. They all have secret bunkers. They all have you know, they're all buying islands, you know, in near Greenland, you know, away from any civilization, so that when, you know, shit hits a fan and there was a nuclear disaster, if there was ever a war, that they will be, you know, isolated and insulated from these problems. And that is the way that they want to, you know, really, you know, I mean, just, you know, kill off humanity. Okay, that is the end plan. That is what accelerationists are. They want the demise of the world.
So you say I'm an accelerationist on the one hand, but you say I don't want that to happen on the other. Or that's a contradiction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the resentment. I'm not talking about.
But that's part of the acceleration is like we all go to war with each other and everything.
Well, just because I you know, want that to happen doesn't mean I really have a lot of, you know, hope that the two genders like have a lot of conflict, you know. But I hope that we can accelerate to the point where we could, you know, start to rebuild the society and the dating market, because it's only going to slip further and further. I think the conservative movement, to a large degree, is a complete joke. And I would say that
for a long time, I agree with that.
I would say that now it's probably stronger than it was a few years ago, but largely a joke.
You should have seen it before
There's
Trump.
a question. There's this AGI discussion. You know, will we get artificial general intelligence, which is.
I mean, one thing I'll give to Clavicular over Peter Thiel is he is a much better communicator. I mean, Peter Thiel sounds like, you know, if a cardboard box was to speak to you, right? Like, literally, he can't form sentences together. He can't. And a lot of it actually might be because he doesn't really want to speak his mind. He doesn't really want to say what's in his head. Because, you know, if he actually said what he thought about humanity and about the world, he'd probably be like, yeah, most of humanity is a joke. Most of humanity is needs to be killed off, and I'm here to do it, right? That is what he would say. Okay, he is somebody who is either very carefully crafting a narrative to try and say the right thing, which is why he is mumbling his words, why he is stumbling over every sentence that he speaks, or he just has the charisma of a cardboard box.
A hopelessly vague concept, which, you know, general intelligence could be just a generally smart human being. So is that just a person with an IQ of 130? Or
I mean, the average IQ is 100, but okay.
Is it super intelligence? Is it godlike intelligence? So it's sort of an ambiguous thing. But I keep thinking that maybe the AGI question's less important than passing the Turing test. If we got AGI, if we got, let's say, super intelligence, that would be interesting to Mr. God, because you'd have competition for being God. But surely the Turing test is more important for us humans, because it's either a complement or a substitute to humans, and so it's going to rearrange the economic, cultural, political structure of our society in extremely dramatic ways. And I think maybe what's already happened is much more important than anything else that's going to be done. And then it's.
I mean, what did he just say? He said a lot about nothing, really. Okay, he is trying to make you know, AI technology as smart as humans, because he wants humanity to be replaced. Okay, that is his end goal. That is what he wants. He has disdain for life. He has a disdain for humanity. Right? Do you want these people in charge? Do you want this person? Right? Do you want this person here, right, being able to make decisions on your behalf, right? That is what he's doing, because he is unleashing a technology so powerful, right? I mean, Sam Altman, head of ChatGPT, OpenAI, he has said himself that he, you know, that AI is the equivalent of, you know, the Manhattan Project. It is the equivalent of the atomic bomb, you know, a hydrogen bomb dropping on Hiroshima. right? Like it is the same moment as Oppenheimer. If you've seen that film, right, that is the scale and impact of that technology onto human civilization, right? And they casually speak about it. They are casually making decisions based on how they feel and see society should work. And you yourself at home, you know, somebody working hard, somebody who is a good person, you are not being consulted. Okay, you're not being asked for your input. You're not being asked whether you even want this, right? So you have to remember that these people have no good intentions towards you.
It's just going to be a long ways in applying it.
You know, we're living in a societal hell essentially. So for you to waste your time and
I mean, a lot of people like Clavicular is definitely black pill, right? Like he is a doomer. He is somebody who, you know, sees the world as a zero-sum game, whereas I see it as, you know, if it's a game, then you need to win, right? And we position ourselves here at Raw Instinct to become winners, to become kings, to live the life of kings, to raise armies, so that we are protected, so that we can be part of the decision-making conversations, that we usher in a great new world, a great new age for humanity, right? You know, you cannot despair ever, right? Whatever the situation is, you have to pretend, right? Or you have to convince yourself that this is the best moment of your life, right? Because if you are thinking that there was a better moment in your past, then you know you won't feel as great, right? You won't be you know, inspired to go further, because, you know, for us, we the Kings and the Royal Alliance and the Amicis that I've got here at Raw Instinct, we are always striving, we are always more ambitious, we are always reaching new pinnacles and new goals, because that is what we are all about. Okay, we are forever growing, we have a forever growth mindset. Okay, we never lack, we never can be stopped, right? And even if we think society is going to shit, which I agree with, right? Society is going to shit, society is rigged, right? But instead of despairing, instead of becoming a doomer, instead of becoming a black pillar, I am somebody who has hope. I don't have hope for most of humanity. I have hope for myself. I have hope for the people who think and believe similar sort of things as me, the people who join me, the people within my kingdom, the friends that I've got hope in them. And, you know, if we get enough people, then we can seriously make a difference, right? And the people who follow us, who want to come to our side, who want to live amongst us and our kingdoms that we are building, they will be safe. They will be taken care of, because that is what we as benevolent kings do. Okay, we look after our subjects, the people in our kingdoms, and I encourage you to start your own kingdom to take care of your people, right? And you know, once you take that risk, once you take that, once you go on that journey to become a king, naturally people will cheer for you, naturally people will follow you, and it is only natural that you become a winner.
resources trying to uplift this entire group of people, which is your peers in your country, it's counterproductive, and that time could be much better spent accelerating yourself as a man. So that's kind of the way I think about it. It's just like, where are you spending your resources? Are you spending them on other people, trying to save a lot of the times hopeless cases, or are you trying to, you know, perfect yourself and really like iron out all your metrics?
You know, and his metrics consist of being better looking, being more wealthy, you know, being more well connected, which I agree with, right? Be more well connected, be more wealthy, you know, but you're telling someone to do it by, you know, following his standard of beauty, right? And I believe, like, it doesn't even matter if a man's good looking or not. Okay, you know, it is a female trait. Okay, I want to be around good looking females. Women don't want to be around good looking men. Okay, they want to be around competent men. They want to be around winners. Okay, they don't care if the ugly guy wins or the good looking guy wins, right? They just go with the winner. Right. And that is what we are going. We are becoming winners. We are becoming the people in charge. We are key decision makers. We are subject matter experts, which is what we are doing. And the best way to do it is to do something that you are interested in, something that you find fun. Okay. Make life every day as enjoyable as possible. Okay. You need to wake up, you know, with excitement, you know, where, you know, you don't, you know, hit the alarm, you know, snooze it and then, you know, go back to sleep. You like, you know, you wake up 5 minutes before the alarm even goes off, right? Because you're so excited to attack the day. You're so excited to conquer more, which is what we are all about. We are always striving. We are always winning. We live great lives.
You know, it's kind of one or the other.
Well. This cultural parasite has come into my crosshairs. Now, it was clear from day one, Clavicular.
It's a great way of putting it, by the way. Like he is a parasite, okay, because he is confusing a whole generation of men. He is, and the worst thing is because he is becoming successful, right? Because he's getting more and more attention, because he is like the new trendy thing. I guess it was Nick Fuentes, before, and it was Andrew Tate before him. Now it's Clavicular. A lot of people, look up to him. And see him like a TV show, right? So that is the character that they're following on TV in essence, right? And because he's getting all that attention, you kind of be like, oh look, yeah, the looks maxing has worked. Where correlation isn't causation, okay? He's not getting attention because of his looks maxing. He's getting attention because looks maxing is so fucking it's so crazy. It's such a joke, right? It's so stupid that a lot of people, he in essence, he is just, the new clown on TV, right? And people are like, is this idiot for real? Is this idiot really, does he really believe in what he says? Which is what is so fascinating about him, because many people can't get their heads around that this idiot actually believes in what he says, because he is so coked up. He has smoked so much meth that his brain has literally melted. It is literally bleeding out of his asshole right now. Okay. And that is why Peter Thiel is able to get one over on him.
Was an astroturfed social programming tool used to further destroy the beauty standards and idea of masculinity.
I mean, this is a New York Times article, right? Let's have a quick read of this. Hang on. New York Times published a piece on looks max Clavicular titled "Handsome at Any Cost." By any definition of the internet celebrity in 2017, Clavicular has ascended. So he's not getting the attention because he's so good looking. He's getting so much attention because he's speaking about it, and because his ideas of hitting his face with a fucking hammer is so crazy, right? So, but many people will point to it. They won't be able to connect the dots. They won't be able to, really, understand the nuance that the reason he's famous is because he's a clown and talking shit out of his fucking ass, right? They'll just say it's because his looks makes him work. Now let me go find a hammer. Let me smash my face in with a hammer.
As a whole, the prodigal son of looks maxing had come home. The crudest definition of looks maxing is taking your looks to the max by whatever means necessary. Because according to looks maxers, looks is the only metric that matters. But what do you know? Clavicular identifies as an accelerationist, and many of his ideas also line up with Peter Thiel, who also invited him to one of his dinners. But after immediately getting his charges dropped for using a fake ID to enter a bar while underage, many questions started to arise. Like, who is funding Clavicular? It couldn't be Peter Thiel, could it?
And is it a psyop, right? Is this a way to destabilize men? Because men are lost right now, okay? Many men and young boys are disenfranchised. They don't have many leaders. They don't have many good role models. They have lost hope, right? And, if you're somebody watching and you agree with this, right, you also have to understand is that if you see the truth, if you see and understand how fucked the world really is, it is your responsibility to do something about it. Okay. You have to be the one who is in charge. You have to be the one who, offers a better alternative. Okay. Because if it isn't you, who will, right? I'm doing my part here, right? I am going out there. I'm calling for people to join me to bring about a new age of new leaders, which is what the world needs, right? I'm sending the message. I'm here. This is a bat signal to anybody who believes and has the ambition to want to get involved. I'm assembling the Avengers, okay? And if you ever thought that you were meant to do something great in your life, this is your moment. This is your moment in the hero's journey, where you decide to get up and take account, be counted, to do something, to bring about change. Or you can decide to just remain a background character, to stay small, stay safe in the background, an NPC that nobody cares about, that nobody ever sees. And then if that's the path that you're going down, right, then I don't have much sympathy for you for what is about to happen, because the elites will unleash a global financial crisis, a military crisis, a technology crisis so large that, you know, many people's brains will literally melt. Many people won't be able to understand what's going on. And then you will have people like Peter Thiel coming to be the new savior, to be the Antichrist, to usher in a new dawn of human civilization. You know, whereas me, I'm making a stand. I am going to usher in a new age to combat the evil elites, to bring about, you know, an alternative for people to follow, for people to be a part of, for people to escape to, right? And that is why we will win, because we are stronger, because we are just better. Okay, we are the good people, and good always prevails over evil, right? You know, and if you're somebody watching, you understand what I'm saying, but you are too, maybe you're afraid, you're a bit unsure of what to do. You know, that is what I help people with, right? I help people eliminate their self-doubt. I help people find their, you know, true passion. You know, we uncover your life purpose and turn you into a subject matter expert in your field of interest, right? In the thing that you care most about in this world. We make you a subject matter expert, and then every day becomes a joy, every day becomes fun, and conquest is a matter of time. Okay, and that is where I want you to be. That is what I want you to do. I want you to become a winner who is in charge of their life.
I just got scammed by the internet's biggest looks maxer. Okay, so I paid $15,000 to go and interview Clavicular. To be 30 minutes, that's it, super short, in and out. And I wanted to ask him some questions about like his funding, his business, and of course the rumors about him and Peter Thiel, because that is absolutely everywhere. So we do a little journalism. The second,
I mean, you know, if you're a gay billionaire, you know, isn't Clavicular your type? You know, a femboy twink who is obsessed with his looks, who literally puts on fucking lipstick and eyeliner, lip liner, you know, puts on foundation to make his face more pronounced, to make himself look better. Okay, he is literally, you know, flashing all these signs to invite somebody like Peter Thiel into his life.
that I brought up, Peter Thiel and Palantir, he panicked. He then flipped it on me and then said, I was the one funded by Peter Thiel. He said that his team did research on me and that there was blockchain ties from Thiel funded parties to my wallet, which,
I mean, it could even be fucking that Peter Thiel was funding both sides in order for him to honey trap him, right? In order for him to fuck this hot girl, and then Peter Thiel would, you know, gain more favor with Clavicular, and then he finally get him in his private island, in his private party, in his bedroom.
is, there's zero proof of that because it never happened. He literally couldn't show one single receipt. Show me one receipt that I am Peter Thiel funded or Peter Thiel backed. I'll wait. So let me get this straight. You charge $15,000 for 30 minutes and then you can't handle a single question? Like, source, I just made it up. And then you're calling me a scammer, but literally what you just did is scamming. Like, nobody told me to do this. I went solo, I came alone. And the only reason I asked that question was because everybody was saying that Peter Thiel is the one that got Clavicular released from jail and dropped all of the charges. So yeah, I just got fraud max, but it's pretty.
I mean, and can we stop fucking dropping max at the end of every fucking word, right? Like looks max, morg max, fraud maxed, right? Like we are maxing everything, okay? Trans maxing. The only thing that you should be maxing is your kingdom, okay? I mean, what should we start king maxing on this channel? Is that where we got to? Right? I mean, king maxing has a certain ring to it, okay? But we are different. We are unique, okay? It is not a trend. This is a way of life, okay? It is uncovering all the hidden gems that you have within yourself, okay? You're uncovering your destiny, okay? Uncovering the truth that you are supposed to share with the world. That is what we are all about, okay? We are living our life purpose, and our life purpose is to win. Our life purpose is to solve and help humanity with their issues.
Clear that Clavicular is funded by Peter Thiel.
Wow. Well, first off, who the fuck would pay Clavicular $15K for a 30-minute interview?
And think about it. This is the amount of money slushing around, right? The internet. Okay, this is the Clavicular is an idiot, and he's getting paid 15 grand for 30 minutes worth of work, right? Think about it. That money should be yours, right? You should be on that type of pay scale. That is what you are worth. That is what we as kings are worth. Okay, we will be funneling that money into our pockets, and that is what I want you to be. I want you to be able to charge 15 grand for 30 minutes for an interview, right? And don't worry, you won't be funded by Peter Thiel, okay? Because we make sure that we are not compromised. We are not inside their sphere of influence.
But regardless of that insane detail, It seems any Thiel questions got Clavicular's panties into a bunch. I wonder why.
And the thing is, Clavicular probably wears panties, right? Because he's looks maxing, he doesn't want to show. You know, he'll probably come up with some next theory that, you know, if you wear panties, it makes your bulge look bigger, right? Because I mean, he is on steroids, he is on growth hormones, and you know, TRT makes your balls shrink, right? So he right now is infertile. He has no functioning balls, right? Because he's been injecting himself with TRT for the last 6-7 years at this point. Okay, he is somebody who decided to artificially do what, you know, his puberty was going to do for him anyway, right? Everybody goes through puberty, and then, you know, you end up, you know, having hormones blasted through you and you grow, right? Whereas he was like, well, I'm going to inject, you know, someone else's, you know, someone else's testosterone straight into my ass. You know, he likes injecting things into his ass, which makes him a perfect candidate for Peter Thiel. I'm sure he doesn't mind. I'm sure he's got ready to inject something in his butthole. You know, so Clavicular, you know, he is somebody who's been doing that for a long time. Okay, and I mean, you know, do you really want to take advice of a guy like that? Okay, it is crazy what he is doing.
Remember, Thiel played a major role in Trump's rise to power in 2016 and handpicked J.D. Vance as vice president in 2024. Thiel has been funding the new right, primarily the high priest of dark enlightenment himself, Curtis Yarvin, who is heavily tied to accelerationism. But who is the real face of the new right to the youth? Nick Fuentes. And what do you know? Fuentes endorsed Clavicular.
I mean, all these people, all these grifters, they end up hanging around with each other, don't they? You know, Nick Fuentes, Peter Thiel, Nick Fuentes, Clavicular, you know, Sneeko, you know, all these Aiden Ross, all these people kind of just hang in the same circles. And you really have to think, like, is it a CIA psyop? Are these people industry plants, CIA agents, you know, put in place in order to confuse the next generation, in order for them to build up attention and spread disinformation? Okay, we are ones who see through these problems, okay, which is why we are positioning ourselves into a place where we will not be influenced, where we will not be caught up by this psyop, where we are going to stand strong and be individuals and be counted for when the great wars begin.
As a total Chad for his comments on J.D. Vance. The two also appeared in an hours-long video together wherein Clavicular stated that he based his whole entire social media strategy on that of Fuentes.
I mean, you know, where did he get the idea from? You know, if Nick Fuentes is a CIA plant, right, you know, then he's got a manager who's advising him on how to do his social media strategy, right? So then it's very easy for then, you know, if they get a guy like Clavicular and be like, right, now we put this, you know, social media manager to do your shit for you, right? And they go on the same live streams, right? They hang about with these kick live streamers, right? In order for them to boost their numbers, their presence, in order for them to get well connected through their association with these platforms. And that is how they become more famous. That is how they are so relevant right now. This is why you need to fight back. Okay, this is the fucking role models that young people have right now. You need to become the new role model, because you are the only person who has the ability to take these people on. I want you to win. I want you to become a winner. I want you to be successful.
Things just keep getting stranger. In January of this year, a video of Fuentes, Clavicular, Sneeko, Tristan and Andrew Tate, Myron Gaines, and Justin Waller singing along to Kanye West's HH song surfaced, causing a social media uprising. The timing of all these events is very peculiar, almost like it was planned. Ordo ab chaos.
I mean, Andrew Tate is another one, right? Like his father was a CIA agent, right? I mean, you know, he only speaks about his father as a, you know, as a grand chess master, but in essence, you know, his father was a CIA agent, right? And then, you know, would it be natural that if your father was a CIA plant, CIA agent, that that they will recruit your children to do their bidding, right? Because once you're in the CIA, you're part of a, you're part of very sensitive information, right? You are part of conversations that the general public are not allowed to hear, right? And then if you have a father who's in that position, right, it's very natural for them to put their kids into those positions, because those agents, the CIA agents, they want their children to win. They want their children to have that type of power. So you have to really ask the question: Is Andrew Tate also a CIA plant? Right? Is he somebody who's also has connections with intelligence, right? Are these people just put in, to disrupt humanity, to divide, to blow up in the internet and spread disinformation? Okay, let's have a look here. Hidden Channel, friend of the show. Good to hear you. Hope you're doing well. I see what you're doing. I watched a few of your videos. You're doing very well. Every time I come across one of your new videos, I'm very happy to see you. Happy to see what you're up to. And I think the last one, you were hand smashing. you're smashing your hand in the ground to make your hand stronger. I mean, I remember I had an uncle once, and he used to be big into bodybuilding. And what he used to do is he used to get sand in a pan, heat up the sand, and then put his hands in the sand and kind of knead it, right? Because the heat would callous his hands and make him less sensitive, and then he was able to pick up more weight with it, because he believed it was making his hands stronger. So what you were doing, I have seen other versions of it, so good for you, man. I look forward to seeing more of your content. But good point about putting max at the end of every word. I only do it now because it might get me more views. This looks max in vocab will make you look like a fool to a woman, potential business partners. Yeah. I mean, look, man, like I understand, you have to play the algorithm game, especially when you're beginning your channel. You have to kind of, use searchable terms. So, and your terms mog maxing, so good for you, man. Carry on, you know what I mean? But, you have to come up with your own words, your own language once you establish an audience, right? Because you want to differentiate yourself to other people. And especially like here, what we are doing, we are all about coming up with new ideas, new things, new creative ways of looking at the world, which you're doing. And I mean, imagine going onto a fucking date, right, with a woman, and then you're spitting out this looks maxing vocab, right? It is very silly, it's very stupid. These looks maxers deserve to lose. We have no time or sympathy for them. It's just a shame that they get so much fucking attention right now. Okay, and I do believe that it is to spread disinformation. But yeah, good to hear from you, and I hope you're doing all well. Let's jump back into the video.
Order out of chaos. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. What is the end goal of looks maxing, transhumanism, and why is the rise of clavicular seem so forced and inorganic?
That's a good point. It does seem forced. It does seem inorganic. It doesn't seem real, right? Like if you're a young man, right? Like I understand how you can get into looks maxing, but because so you follow the advice on the internet forums, right? You need to make your face symmetrical, blah blah blah, right? So I get that part of it, but then why are people really so interested in him right now? Okay, I mean, following his live streams. In essence, he's just a character on the TV show, right? Because he doesn't even speak about looks maxing that much anyway, right? All he does now is just go to nightclubs to try and pick up chicks, right? So in essence, he's transitioned from becoming a looks maxer to now being a pickup artist, right? Which it doesn't work anyway, right? Because most women don't want a fucking good looking man. They want somebody who is powerful. They want somebody who is wealthy, right? They want somebody who is a king, which is why we position ourselves as kings here, which is why women who call themselves queens will all queue up and want to be with us.
Part 1. The Beautiful Ones. In 1968, behavioral scientist John B. Calhoun ran an experiment he called Universe 25. It wasn't a study on poverty or deprivation. It was the opposite. Calhoun gave mice everything modern ideology promises will fix society. Unlimited food, unlimited water, zero predators, zero scarcity. The only constraint was limited space. At first, the population exploded, but then something broke. Something drastically changed. As density increased, social order collapsed. Males became hyper-aggressive or completely passive. Females abandoned or killed their offspring.
And you have to think about it. Like, looks maxing is a very passive thing, right? Like, if you're somebody who's ever studied like filmology, cinematography, or media studies, right? You'll know something about the female gaze, right? And basically in movies, right, the theory is that you have like your macho male figure, like a John Wayne type, like a Clint Eastwood, right? And he is James Bond is a good example, right? So James Bond is the he's the one in the film who's the protagonist. He's the one who's taking action all the time, right? He's the one who's in charge. Okay, he is moving through the world, making decisions, right? He is doing what he wants. And then you have a female lead who is just there for her beautiful presence. Okay, especially if you look at like the old 60s and 70s James Bond movies with Sean Connery, right? Like those ones especially really played up to this stereotype. And the female gaze was women are just objects to be looked at. Okay, now you might have your own moral qualms with female objectification, but that's what females do. They make themselves more beautiful to attract men, the attention of men, right? And they choose a man on his actions and competence, right? So now if you have a guy like Clavicular who is in essence just making himself more pretty, right? He just wants to be good looking so that he hopes that he will get noticed, right? And that is a very passive thing to do, right? So the females in these films used to be very passive, and passive just means that you're not the protagonist, right? That you're just passively sitting there waiting to be told what to do, waiting to react to what is happening. Whereas, the man of action, James Bond, right, the protagonist, he is going for what he wants to do, right? And, what Clavicular is doing is very feminine. It's very, it is very female in nature, right? And, he's going to go now into this, into his Universe 52, whatever it is, theory about how these mice became very passive and feminine.
Reproduction slowed, then stopped. Younger males withdrew entirely. No mating, no hierarchy, no engagement. What emerged next is what almost no one talks about.
And we are living through a time like this now, right? Many men, they have lost hope. They are, life is very cushy, life is very comfortable, but like there isn't much for men to strive for, right? Because even women have been taking out the dating market, right? Women are just now being passed around the wealthy people, and the average man who works hard, right? Who's young right now, he hasn't got a chance at dating women because he hasn't established enough status. He hasn't established enough wealth, right? Which is what you need to date in today's market. That is why we are going for kingdoms, right? Because the king ultimately wins, and that is what we will be, the ultimate winners of everything.
Calhoun observed a new class of mice that he called the beautiful ones. They were physically flawless. Their fur was immaculate. Their bodies showed no signs of fighting. They did not compete, dominate, reproduce, or lead. They spent their lives grooming, eating, sleeping.
So let's grab a quick read of this. So the beautiful ones, amidst behavioral sync, a new class of mice emerged. They were physically flawless, showing no signs of conflict. They opted out of the hierarchy entirely. They did not mate, complete, or lead. They spent their lives doing only three things: grooming, eating, and sleeping. Right? Isn't that what Clavicular is doing? Isn't that what he is all about? He's just grooming himself to make himself more pretty, eating and sleeping, in hoping to be a beautiful man, in hoping to be beautiful, so beautiful that people just look at him all the time and get picked. And why does he want to be so beautiful that people look at him? Because he wants protection, right? Because when you're in a tribe, the more beautiful you are, the more eyes you have on yourself, right? The more you are protected. Okay, that is why people want to become famous. They want to become famous because they believe that if they are so well known, so famous, that they will be protected by a tribe in case of something bad happens. Okay, that is their hope, that is their wish, that is what they are going for, right? We are not passive, we take action. We are we're leaving the current system, right? Because we understand that the system is like this mice maze where these beautiful rats lived under, right? We understand how terrible it is, and we are establishing our own rules, a new society that we are building where men get to be men, women get to be women, and good people get to be good people. That is what we're all about. That is how we are building societies. That is how we stay winning.
Sleeping and avoiding contact. They were not.
Yeah, and they avoid conflict. They don't want any problems, right? They want everything nice and easy, right? Because you have to understand that as a man, life is tough. Life is about going into darkness, going into situations where you feel uncomfortable and overcoming those things, right? That is the hero's journey. That is how we stay winning. That is how we keep learning. Okay, we take risk. We have the balls the size of bowling balls, because we can contain that type of pressure. We can contain that type of uncomfortableness, right? And because we can take that type of pressure, we are the ones who win, right? And if you're not willing to fight, if you're not willing to take that type of pressure, if you're willing to just be passive like Clavicular, you will lose. The best, actually, Clavicular's not losing, right? The only thing he's losing is his anal virginity, in this sense, right? If you are like Clavicular, if you are Luke Smaxer, if you stay passive and you don't decide to become a king like me, here on this channel on Royal Instinct, if you're not somebody who is joining the royal elites, the royal kings that I'm building, you will just get penetrated in your arsehole by a gay billionaire, right? And that is what Peter Thiel wants. That is, he just wants a bunch of twinks, a bunch of femboys to pick from, and Clavicular is the current one that he is pegging.
Losers in the traditional sense. There was something worse. Opt-outs. And how did the experiment end? Total extinction. This pattern repeated.
Again, isn't that what Peter Thiel wants? Total extinction of mankind. He wants to accelerate the demise and the end of good people.
Across more than 24 Calhoun universe experience from the 1950s through the 1970s. The variables barely mattered. When organisms were placed into systems of endless abundance but compressed hierarchy, where meaningful social roles disappeared, the result was always the same: behavioral sink, aesthetic withdrawal, and death. I think most of you can see.
And that is what Clavicular wants. That is what Peter Thiel wants. They want death. They want societies to collapse. They want people to withdraw. And they want to reap all the rewards and be the beautiful ones.
Where I'm going. The beautiful ones were proto-Luxmaxers. Luxmaxing is the furthest thing from self-improvement. It is what emerges when participation in hierarchy becomes impossible, when competition is oversaturated, when selection acts as an algorithm, when most men are structurally redundant. Libido does not disappear, it turns inward. Status no longer comes for action, risk, leadership, or reproduction. It collapses into microsignals, bone structures, jaw lines, clavicles, ratios. Grooming replaces becoming.
Yeah, and they think that they are doing self-improvement by grooming themselves, by making them look better, but they're not becoming anything, right? They're not becoming men. They're just becoming good-looking boys, right? And they'll stay boys their whole life. And you can see it when you look at a beautiful woman, right? Like she, her whole 20s, her whole 30s, she's a beautiful woman. She's a model, right? They get praised for the beauty. They get all the attention for the beauty. And then when they get to the 40s and 50s, when they have developed no character, no personality, where they've just been used and abused for the looks, right? They get very resentful. They get very angry, okay? And then they hit out at the people, the power structures above them, saying that they got misused. And that is most likely what will happen to Clavicular, okay? You will see him break down very soon. You will see him, be a person who hits out, say that he was abused by Peter Thiel, that he abused his arsehole, right? But, that is the life Clavicular chose. That is what he wants to do.
Clavicular wears his autism as a badge of honor. But his obsession is not random. It is late-stage status signaling inside a closed system, a rat in a cage, a beautiful one leading his followers to extinction. When macro paths to dawn.
Yeah, I mean, is looks maxing just a death cult at this stage, right? Is it just a desire to be dead? Is it a desire to, but before you die, you look really, really fucking good. So that at your funeral, you can have an open casket, okay? Is that their ambition? Is that what they hope for? That is what they are trying to do. I mean, it just leads to them become bisexual, sugar babies for billionaires, right? So don't be a looks maxer.
Dominance vanished. Individuals regressed to optimizing what can still be seen, measured, and controlled. The mice groomed endlessly while their civilization collapsed. Modern men do the same thing under different lighting. As Clav views himself as an accelerationist, we must view this through that lens. Looks maxing isn't resistance to the system, it is the system completing itself. A sexual marketplace so compressed that humans become static images. A hierarchy that no longer needs participants, only spectators. In Universe 25, the most visually.
Yeah, and that is what's happening to most of society. Most of people today, they aren't the protagonists in their own life. They don't make decisions for their own lives, okay? They allow other people to make those decisions. They want government to step in and take care of them, okay? That is what we are not about. We want to be the ones in control of our lives, the ones who are in control of their destiny. We are taking action, okay? I mean, Hidden Channel here, he is somebody who started his own channel, right? He is somebody who's growing. He's taking action every day, okay? That is why he will win. That is why he has the ability to go forth and conquer, right? And, it's only a matter of time before he starts amassing massive wealth, before he is somebody who becomes seen as an expert in athletic training, in muscle building, and literally mog maxing, as he calls it, right? That is what he is going for. That is what he has decided to do, and it is only a matter of time before he wins. And when he wins, he will crown himself king. Okay, he will come along and he will be able to outcompete Clavicular, right? Literally, that this guy is so strong, he will literally he could literally break Clavicular in half with both his hands, right? That is how strong this guy is. And that is what we're all about. We are here to find like-minded people, like-minded individuals who have the same beliefs, share the same values, and want to be crowned kings. If you want to do something the same as us, if you want to join the Amichis here at Raw Instinct, then let me know.
Perfect mice were evolutionary dead ends. The system didn't correct. Itself imploded. The lesson Calhoun emphasized is the most unsettling one. Even when population declined and space became available again, the mice did not recover. The damage was cultural and psychological, not material. Looks maxing is not the cause of collapse. It is the behavior of a civilization that has already crossed the point of no return. Beautiful, groomed, and on the way to extinction. Part 2, Eugenics with a Smile. Looks maxing is not just a meme or a harmless self-improvement trend. It's something much worse. And at this point,
and you have to also know the dark side of looks maxing, right? For women, for example, depression for girls under the age of 10 was never a thing before 2010, right? And after 2010, you really see an acceleration of young women age 10 and under becoming suicidal, right? Whereas literally you had cases which were nearly 0%, okay, less than 1%, right? Before the age of before 2010, girls under the age of 10. Then post 2010, right, you have an increase in girl suicides of under the age of 10, and it correlates with the rise of social media, okay? And many of these women have body dysmorphia. Many of them think that they are not good enough because they see all these attractive many times the filters that these women use, filtered images, edited images, enhanced images, makeup that they wear, the fake tits, lips, fake asses that they get, all these pressures that women are under is literally causing them mental health issues, right? And now you have a guy like Clavicular, right, literally causing mass depression, causing mass anxiety, because now people are more worried about the looks. Okay, you need to not focus on your looks. You need to focus as a man on what you can do. You need to follow your passions, you need to follow your interests, you need to follow your character and max that out. Okay, forget your looks maxing, max out your character, max out your passion. Okay, become somebody who is a subject matter expert.
It arrived as a full-blown system. Clav's Clan is what he calls his $50 a month course. It came complete with the vocabulary, a hierarchy, and a worldview that treats the human body not as something lived in, but something audited, scored, corrected, overridden. What began years ago in incel subculture forms as obsessive male despair has now crossed into the open, carrying with it a language of bones, chemical metrics, and enlightenment. And at the center...
Yeah, I mean, they believe that their good looks will lead them to enlightenment. Okay, the only way that you can reach enlightenment is through deep meditation. But I find that boring, right? Which is why we are going for max living, right? We are going for living our lives, living a great life. Okay, we are about living the best life possible. That is why we will become the new enlightened ones. Okay, let's jump ahead to the last part here. And then we'll finish up.
It is functional by pretending attraction can be reduced to decimal points and skull ratios. The PSL system launders subjective preference into destiny. Failure is reframed as biological. Success is framed as genetic entitlement. Human relationships are no longer relational. They are actual. Desire becomes not incidental, it is foundational. Status is rigid, centralized, and enforced socially. Public humiliation is reframed as discipline. Exclusion becomes proof of righteousness.
And, is that what looks maxing is about? Is that Peter Thiel's way of influencing the youth in order to make them more submissive, right? Does he want to have a generation of beautiful men so that they will be easier to control, easier to submit to him, because he wants to be the Antichrist, he wants to be the ruler of the world? And look, man, he might win, right? He might be a winner, he might be the actual leader of the world, right? But before that happens, right, I am the one who is going to challenge him, right? And I want you to join me, right? Join me on the mission to challenge these evil people like Peter Thiel, these evil looks maxers, these idiots. Let's clown on them, okay? Let's literally destroy their campaigns. Let's destroy their game. Let's come up with a new game. Let us create the society that we want in the image of how we want to live. That is why we are buying private islands. That is why we are creating new nations, building kingdoms. And, once you join Royal Instinct, once you become a king, join the Royal Alliance of Kings, it will be us shoulder to shoulder, ready to do battle, ready to take care of one another. But that is it for today. Thank you very much. And I will see you tomorrow.